Hey Renee, so could you perhaps tell us a little bit about what Climate Tracker does?
Yeah, so Climate Tracker, it's an organization mostly made up of young writers and young journalists who write about the environment. It's a global network, and we've also had some climate hubs that we've set up in different parts of the world per region, for example in Latin America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, and South Asia, etc. And basically, we write about climate change issues in our countries, in our regions, and we also talk about the UN climate negotiations.
So why do you believe that journalism is important in terms of climate change and adaptation?
Yeah, in terms of climate change and adaptation, I think there's still a lot of people who don't understand or are quite iffy about reading about climate change just because it sounds too scientific or it sounds too technical, and I think we need to bring climate change closer to the people. In terms of adaptation, I know that I've worked with different organizations, mostly like international, local organizations I've met in the UN, and one thing they've always told me is that media have not highlighted adaptation or solutions to climate change. It's always, the victims of climate change. It's disempowering. So maybe by writing about adaptation, by writing about solutions, we can empower more people, and this information can go to, maybe other vulnerable communities who are going through the same thing.
And what do you think better reporting on climate change, particularly for South Asian countries, can entail?
Better reporting, of course, means that we can disseminate information better. So better reporting can also influence policies. It can do all these things, so it can lead to education, to awareness, maybe to some policy changes. So it's always a very powerful tool, to change something in society or to influence more people in the community.
So how do you think journalism is important in terms of climate change adaptation?
I mean, journalism is one of the only ways that people find out about things that they don't otherwise want to find out about. So climate change adaptation is something that's new to most people, and it's something that is not just on a village level or just on a community-based level that you can go in and do one workshop. It's on a national level, and it's actually on regional and international levels. And for that to have any sort of real impact, there needs to be a lot of pressure from the media, and there needs to be a lot of education in the media about the type of things that governments can do, the type of things that regions and individuals as well can do within their communities. But you can't do one of those things without having the other. If you do some community-based adaptation that doesn't have a national framework to support it, then it's not going to last very long. And while that community might be resilient, they might live in a place where their water and electricity comes from non-resilient, producers. So while they might be resilient in their community for food, their water and electricity runs out, and that community is going to have a pretty tough time in making it through whatever they need to make through. So journalism plays a really critical part in not only informing at the community level, but informing at the state and national level what are the types of things that need to happen and what are the types of things that could happen as well.